Daily Caller, or Breitbart. Why do you think they were leaked to all of the legacy media outlets? Because the legacy media outlets are in on it. The legacy media outlets love it. Anything that reestablishes their stranglehold on information is good for them. So this Facebook former employee went to a PR manager, and they tranched out these really non-revelatory documents to a bunch of outlets that are sympathetic to the idea that Facebook needs to stop disseminating information that is not the legacy media outlets. It's a power grab. It's that simple. It's not about principle. It's simply about power, as always. All right, so, according to the Wall Street Journal, Facebook employees focused special attention on Breitbart. The documents show criticizing Facebook for showcasing the site's content in news tab and for helping it sell ads. They also allege Facebook gave special treatment to Breitbart and other conservative publishers, helping them skirt penalties for circulating misinformation or hate speech. Right-wing sites are consistently among the best-performing publishers on the platform in terms of engagement, according to data from Newsweek. That is one reason Facebook is often criticized by people on the left, who say Facebook's algorithms reward far-right content. Facebook says it enforces rules equally and doesn't consider politics in decision-making. Facebook spokesman Andy Stone said, quote, "We make changes to reduce problematic or low-quality content to improve people's experiences on the platform, not because of a page's political point of view. When it comes to changes that will impact public pages like publishers, of course we analyze the effect of the proposed change before we make it." Now again, the goal here with this entire tranche of stories from the media are to push Facebook to do more censorship. This is why when you hear people on the right, they're like, yeah, Facebook does a bad job because they are censoring right-wing speech. There's truth to that. There really is. I mean, again, I know the internal metrics. There's truth to the notion that they have specifically targeted right-wing sites by changing policies. Like, for example, the people who are the most engaged. They've prevented those people from having their engaged posts reach a lot of people. They've also changed the way that the stories are distributed. By measuring how much of a site's traffic comes from Facebook, too much of a site's traffic comes from Facebook, they ding the site, and they reduce its reach, which of course benefits legacy media outlets like the New York Times or CNN, which existed for a much longer time and have been able to gain market share long before Facebook arrived. And so it is simply true that Facebook has dinged right-wing traffic. This is well known in the industry. But when the right complains about that, then they say we can make common cause with Elizabeth Warren and the left. No, you guys have diametrically opposed solutions. The right says Facebook needs to open up for more and allow more speech and leave us alone. And the left says you must never leave them right alone. You must shut down all of those sites. Then they use all sorts of ridiculous jerry-rigged studies in which they penalize you for openly stating your bias. So, for example, if you go to Newsweek will say that my site, the Daily Wire, is ranked lower on trust than, for example, CNN or the New York Times. Why did they say that? We literally had a call with them. And on this call with Newsweek, we explained we are overtly conservative. And they said, right, that means you're biased. And we said, well, actually it means we're honest. And we're overtly conservative. And they said, well, this means you're less trusted. I said, hold up. So if we're honest about our own bias, whereas the New York Times lies clearly and openly about its own bias, they're considered more trusted, and they're considered more honest. We label every one of our stories, the bottom of the story, it says the New York Conservative News site. And this makes us less honest than the New York Times, which just lies about things repeatedly because of its left-wing bias. So Facebook tends to use studies from outside groups like Newsweek, or they tend to use the fact checks of political motivated groups like PolitiFact in order to dig right-wing publishers. This is the entire goal. Breitbart was included in the news tab, which was launched in 2019 according to the Wall Street Journal. The product contains a main tier with curated news from publishers, including the Wall Street Journal, New York Times, and Washington Post. Those get paid for their content. Right? All of the big guys are already getting paid directly by Facebook. Daily Wire is not paid directly by Facebook. Breitbart is not paid directly by Facebook. Breitbart is part of a second tier of news designed to deliver news tailored to a user's interest. It is not paid. Facebook said it requires its sites included on News tab to focus on quality news reporting and bars those that repeatedly share what it deems misinformation or violating public community standards. Asked about the inclusion of Breitbart, Mark Zuckerberg said at the time of the launch that the aim was for News tab to have a diversity of perspective. One staffer wrote in the racial justice chat, he understood factual, progressive, and conservative-leaning news organizations both needed to be represented. But that could be done without including Breitbart. Again, this is the game. The game is re-establish the monopoly. Re-establish the monopoly. And again, the way that they crack down most on the conservative publishers, the way they crack down most is they put in place tools that are specifically designed to only hit conservative publishers. So they for example, looked at their informed engagement and sparing sharing tools, and then they used those metrics, and they triggered those metrics to lower right-wing traffic. And the idea is that they're a pro-right-wing site, according to these folks. Again, it's all about control. It's all about, and they're just saying ridiculous things. I'm sorry. Is it the town square's fault if people use the town square in a way that you don't like? In essence, the argument against Facebook allowing distribution